I don't know if you know this, but Trump went back to the Butler, set up a fish tank in Butler, PA, and in his bravery and fearlessness, finished boring everyone with his standard stump ramble. And the Five wants you to know that Trump is a survivor and he not gonna give up. Okay. You need to know this. Trump is surviving to fight for you, Waters. Well, don't do me no favors.
Making his triumphant return to Butler, Pennsylvania, the very spot where just 12 weeks ago, a would-be assassin's bullet grazed his ear and almost ended his life.
I'm still going with it was a piece of glass from the teleprompter. Again, is it, what's the big difference? What's the big difference other than bragging rights of a bullet versus a piece of glass? Like, that could have gone into his eye, killed him, right? I suppose.
A massive crowd gathering to cheer on the former
by the way,
the
massive crowd is about 20,000 people. Just for the record. This is what 20,000 people looks like. Nowhere near as biggest in the area. Obviously bigger than the last time he was there. But largely because it was people from out of state coming in there. So, like, all the touring maggots.
Remember the life of Corey Comparatore.
Oh, by the way, can we back the fuck up real quick? I want to show you this. Quit it. Silly. See if I can pause this.
A massive crowd gathering to cheer on the former...
No, notice how... Do you notice how they, when this footage flies in, there's this weird zoom effect that Fox does. This is in post, ladies and gentlemen. This is what this is them doing. Watch this again. They could just show you the fucking wide shot of the whole thing, and if it's impressive, you'd be like, oh fuck. But they don't. They tighten the shot. Watch this.
It grazed his ear and almost ended his life. A massive crowd gathering to cheer on the...
See that? See that? Zoom pan that zoom in as they're moving, because the helicopter. Okay, that's done in post. That's not the camera doing it. That's them doing it later. Just saying.
Former president, and remember.
That's why it's got that warble in it.
For the life of Corey.
Okay. Well, and you'll notice they cut right at the edges of the crowd, and I wish. Let's see if I could. Let's see if I can pause it.
And remember the life.
Okay, there we go. So you'll see it's pretty packed right here. This is the biggest jammed in area. This area is a lot less crowded. And so is this. See these gaps? Okay. And then back here, it just kind of dissipates completely. That's what you're looking at here. There's a big crowd of his friendlies. That's all packed in there. There's a lot of stuff for the media to see people. There's a big chunk right down the center. They basically organize the crowd so that the media sees a big bunch of heads and so that Trump can't see past this point. So when he says far as the eye can see, it's because this is apparently where Trump's need for glasses kicks in and it just starts to feather out. They're all like this. The one I went to that had 2,500 people in it in Vegas, where he's like, there's 20,000 people here. Same shape, same crowd shape. Most people were in here, but because it's Butler, they're here. But look at this. And this is all watery. But you'll notice that as soon as the camera starts to show you the edges of where it just absolutely empties out, because the field, here's the thing, the area that's partitioned for people is all around this area. It's ginormous. And it's fucking empty past this point. There's nobody there. Like, they allocated all this land, like, and we're going to need 80,000 people are going to show up, and they abso-fucking-lutely did not.
Of Corey Comparatore.
Did you see the fucking cut there? And then this, just fucking gross. Like, this poor guy and his family, and, like, it's just, ugh.
Reserving a seat in honor of the firefighter who was shot and killed during the attempted assassination. Trump.
Jesus Christ. They didn't put it where he was shot, did they? Please tell me they, like, a seat in honor or whatever. Okay. But Jesus, they didn't actually put it where he actually got killed, did they? Just fucking gross.
Trump kicking off the rally right where he left off, pointing to the immigration chart that saved his life.
Oh, you mean the one that lies?
We love Pennsylvania, and as I was saying, oh, I love that chart on this very.
I do too, because I really love that chart, because if that chart was true, Donald Trump stopped being president in April of 2020. Maggots know this, right? By the way, hit the thumbs up, share the show, like, subscribe. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. And maggots, yeah, I know we have some maggots out here. You guys, pop your head out of the basket of deplorables and explain to me why the arrow at the lowest point was during the lockdown, the primary lockdown, basically the tail end of 15 days to stop the spread, that shit. March into April, and then it just went whoop right afterwards through the rest of the year, and was as high or higher than it was at the beginning of January of the same year. Anybody they want to explain how he stopped being president in April of 2020? While you're at it, and I'll give you a second to think about it. While you're at it, maggots, think about this for a second. Explain to me, if you could, that if Trump could have made a deal with the Iranians a week after the election, if he hadn't lost, and he was still president for another 2 months or so, why he didn't just make the deal? If they were ready to make a deal, why not make the deal and go down in history as the guy who made the deal that stopped Iran from having a nuclear weapon and protected Israel from that? Why not make the deal? What do you think? The only reason you wouldn't, I guess, is because you think the incoming administration would not honor the deal, right? That they wouldn't follow through. They wouldn't live up to, they wouldn't do that, even though they had a deal to stop the Iranians from reaching a nuclear weapon. Before you came in, you got rid of their deal. So you think they're just going to do it for spite? I mean, they kept on some of the tariffs, right? So why wouldn't they keep an Iran deal that you had negotiated? Why wouldn't you want to make sure you did that? I got to tell you, if I was going to fight to say that I'd actually won the election, one of the things I would start doing is nailing down a bunch of shit that tells people I'm a fucking kick-ass leader and I never won't stop working for you. But he just kind of went, fuck it. Fuck them. They didn't vote for me. Fuck them. I hope Israel gets bombed. Fuck them. Because that seems to be what he said. Why wouldn't you make the deal? What deal? Well, I guess the other question is, what was so bad in that deal that he would have given to Iran to make that deal happen that any sensible administration, when they came in, would go, what the fuck is this? And shut it down. Now, I know there's another option, too, that I'm not thinking about. I know. It's over here. It's that Donald Trump can't make deals at all. It's why I couldn't get an infrastructure bill passed. It's why I couldn't come up with a replacement plan for the Affordable Care Act. It's why the CHIPS Act was totally possible while he was president, but he just didn't give a fuck. Didn't care. Never mind the fact that he was sending Putin fucking COVID tests, which again, if COVID was a hoax, doesn't that mean that Trump fell for it? Does that mean he's just a gullible dipshit? We'll save that for another time.
Very ground, a cold-blooded assassin aimed to silence me and to silence the greatest movement, MAGA, in the history of our country.
Why would the movement... So I'm sorry. You die, and none of those people behind you will ever want to make America great again, ever? That's your argument. That's what you're saying. That if you die, all those people behind you in the stupid red hats will go, you know what? Fuck America. I mean, they kind of already do. I mean, that's what January 6th was basically a big fuck America. But is that your argument? Just to clarify, I think so.
He did not stop our movement. He did not break out our spirit. He didn't break out your spirit. He didn't give your spirit pimples. He didn't break out our spirit. All right. And Fox, you thought that was a good idea.
All right, is this another instance where someone in the edit booth hates him? He did not break out our spirit? Has he been taking colloquialism lessons from J.D. Vance again?
He did not stop our movement. He did not break out our spirit.
No, he didn't. You're right. He did not break out our spirit. I did not realize your prison was in your spirit was in prison. Our jailed spirit.
He did not shake our unyielding resolve to save America. I will never.
Well, I have to say, if it can be shaken, it's not unyielding. No one can shake your unyielding resolve because it is by nature unyielding. If he was able to shake your resolve, it would be just your resolve. Just saying. I know I'm nitpicking.
Never quit. I will never bend. I will never break. I will never.
Okay, first of all, you can't bend, dummy. You can only wiggle one leg when you're dancing anymore. Like this is the extent of your movement.
Yield. Not even.
You can't. I'm not worried about you yielding. You can't even drive. Not even a little bit.
In the face of death.
Not even in the face of this fish tank. I will not yield in the face of death. Well, you kind of will, I guess. You're touring around in a fishbowl. I mean, you're the MAGA Pope now. Remember when they put the Pope, the little Pope in fresh, the Pope mobile? I'm waiting for God to reach down. You know that dice thing in Boggle? I'm waiting for God to just go like that.
Itself.
And Trump bringing along a very special guest, Elon Musk, making a passionate plea for supporters to get out there and vote.
Passionate?
Watch.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. You must have...
Damn, you have to cut this so that you can only get one fucking sentence out? Look, I know sometimes I stop every other sentence, believe me. But I don't take out the other shit. That's why this is, my shit's long form for a reason.
Have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. Get everyone you know and everyone you don't know.
What if like you and your friends, you know a bunch of non-citizens? I mean, there's a lot of people that work at Tesla and other companies that cannot vote. He knows them. I digress.
Drag them to register to vote.
Greg, the line, as I was saying, is imagery and storytelling in 5 words, or
Yes, it's masterful.
4 words, that is brilliant from
4 or 5 words. I'll give her credit for for ...
a campaign standpoint.
It was the perfect opening, though.
Yep.
I would disagree with him on that guy being a cold-blooded assassin. I always believe in my head that he was a brainwashed assassin curated by media-generated hate. Because while he's in Butler, the media...
I'm sorry. Did Greg Gutfeld just, I guess, infer that Thomas Crooks was a warm guy? He was just misunderstood. He was just confused.
And the Dems are portraying his supporters as violent extremists who will riot and...
Hey, asshole. That guy was his supporter. He's a registered Republican. They did riot on January 6th. We didn't portray it. We just show it.
If Trump loses, they will riot. And if...
You mean like last time? Gee, I have no idea where we got that idea. It's just, crazy. It's this Hollywood thing, We all have these big, crazy imaginations. And, of course, over, I think, 7 million hours of Facebook footage of these motherfuckers going, we're here to kill Nancy Pelosi. I just pissed on a cop. He's out on, look at him. I tased him. I think he's having a heart attack. Right, yeah. I don't know where we get these nutty ideas, Greg, you fucking... shithead.
If they win, it's going to be worse. It'll be the end of democracy. But then you go and you switch over here, you see tens of thousands of people.
Hey, asshole, that guy didn't take a shot at Trump because he was going to end democracy. That guy took a shot at him because he was worried that he wouldn't. It wouldn't go far enough.
In a peaceful, professional, solemn event goes on.
In a, what do you mean? In a fish tank?
Without a hitch.
Well, I mean, I would call the video and pictures of Elon Musk jumping around like a dipshit a hitch. I would call that a hitch.
It's just another contrast between what the media is telling you and what you see to be true. I mean, this.
What do you mean? What? Hold on. Does Greg think that we believe his supporters are going to riot at his events? Huh? Seriously, what the what? How is this on anybody else? Nobody is thinking these motherfuckers are going to rise up and attack him. Jesus.
It was a historic event, and it's
no, it wasn't.
a symbolic refusal to lay down in the face.
You see that? They can't just give the wide shot. They got to fucking zoom in.
Of fear and the idea that, you know, you shouldn't go back there.
Cut. There you go.
And it's kind of like what the media is saying about the election is.
Boy, crowd looks really big if you squint, unless you pay attention to the fact that it's like Trump's hairline. It just gets lighter the further forward you go.
In general, you better not go back there. You better not reelect Trump. You better not, because there's going to be hell to pay. If Trump wins, there will be chaos and destruction. And if that's true, it's going to come from them, because they're portraying this election more like an extortion, trying to plant the seed that if you win, there will be the return of BLM, Antifa, Hamas protesters on top of that, a complete violent meltdown.
What are you talking about? You're almost quoting exactly what Elon Musk said. He said if Trump doesn't win, there's not going to be another election, right? Trump said, if I win there, we don't even need one. We'll never even need one again. So I guess it's a wash. Is that what you're saying? He's like, if she gets elected, you're going to see a crash like 1929 on steroids and all that kind of stuff. What are you talking about?
But they disguise this as a response to you, as if the population is worried about Trump supporters.
Jesse.
Well, real quick, Trump is. Trump is worried about Trump supporters. That's why he's in a fucking fish tank, Greg. The last person that tried to shoot him there was a Republican, was a registered Republican.
I know that Laura Ingraham has an interview tonight, but as I recall, you saw him like right after in Pennsylvania, and I know Johnny was there. What did you pick up from that visit?
Yeah, what was you bond with people, Evil Ross from Friends, Stretch Ben Shapiro. Tell us tell us how strong he was, and what does Lee Greenwood really smell like?
Well, he looked humbled and more devout than I'd ever seen him, and so that clicked with me.
Devout. First of all, how can you be more devout? How dare you? You're talking about a guy who stood in front of a burned out church he never set foot in, holding a Bible upside down. And was it his Bible? It was a Bible. But you don't get more devout than that, okay? You don't believe me? Check 2 Corinthians, buddy. You can't. Look, Trump knows more about the Bible than the Holy Spirit does. Believe me.
Johnny was there over the weekend, and he'll have that tonight. The storyline of this election is Trump surviving to fight for you. And whether
it's so moving. It is. Surviving. So you're just running on a whole, like, fuck Corey comparator idea. That's what you're saying. Like, God protected him, but those other people were just collateral damage in God's great plan to protect America. You had to have some blood spilled so that people would know this was serious. But don't worry, they get to be a prop forever.
it's the mug shots, the show trials, the character assassination, or the real assassins.
real quick, first of all, the quote real assassins, both of them came from his side, and especially the last one fucking voted for him and asked Iran for help like Trump asked Russia for help going after Hillary. It's super fucking weird. He's a lunatic. But there was no point where, like, well, hold on. Let me clarify this part again.
And whether it's the mugshots, the show trials, the character assassination.
Yeah, the mugshots, there's one. And every time somebody buys something from Trump with the mugshot on it, that money goes to the Fulton County DA's office, to the whatever, the Georgia DOJ that oversees it, and pays for the prosecution of Trump ultimately, because that money goes into the budget. So Trump is funding both sides of his Georgia trial because part of the deal. And then this character assassination, the man has no character. He is a character, but he doesn't have character.
Or the real assassins, his reaction to these things, that fighting instinct where you pick yourself up off the mat and you keep going forward, that has gained a level of respect for the America First movement that was not possible before. And
okay, so this basically they were seeing him as a flagging candidate, and they organized this whole thing as a conspiracy to make him look tough. And they told him beforehand, don't worry, you're not actually going to get harmed. It might be a little scary, but you'll do just fine, and we'll set this up. I mean, if you want to go complete fucking mask off conspiracy theory, basically you're saying this was designed and orchestrated to help Trump appear tough. Great.
And his return to Butler is symbolic of how
somehow he gets to be in a fish tank, but fuck Lee Greenwood? You don't think that the bad guys want to get rid of national treasure Lee Greenwood? And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died while I had problems with my feet. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and do this jerking dance today.
Harris and Biden have run the country. They have failed to protect their opponent. They've failed to protect the border, our street.
I'm sorry, he's dead now? I didn't realize Trump, is this a rerun? Or something happened?
Our allies, the dollar, and...
The dollar! Okay, Glenn Beck.
And him coming back and surviving and fighting hopefully foreshadows America coming back and continued to fight. Now, Elon...
Hopefully? Fuck you, buddy. Sorry, you think America's only good depending on who's in the Oval Office?
Elon Musk didn't endorse officially Donald Trump until right after Donald Trump popped up and said, fight, fight, fight. He tweeted it out. And for a lot of other people, at that moment, when he stood up and said that, it clicked for them, too. Because many Americans asked the...
What, that this might be a coordinated conspiracy? I mean, that part of it? And he's like, oh, this guy might be smart enough to pull off a giant misinformation campaign like my purchase of Twitter.
Question, what...
Also, again, if someone in the booth hates you, Jesse Waters, look at the picture they chose of Elon Musk. He looks like Gollum at the end of a first date. It gives us a kiss or it gets its head crushed in, my precious.
Why are they trying to silence this man?
They are not. There is no they. Fuck you. There's no they. If they were trying to silence him, he'd have been silenced. If there's a they, like you talk about, they would do it. The fact that he's alive proves there's no they. Same as Alex Jones. There's no they, motherfucker.
His entire candidacy is an indictment upon the system. The system.
Yeah, the whole system. Democracy, the Constitution, the American rule of law, freedom. Yes, it's an indictment of those things. Donald Trump is an affront to all things. And I'm guilty of preferring those things to Donald Trump, the dumb dictator.
It's corrupt, it's secretive, it's incompetent, it's authoritarian. And
but enough about the upper executives at Fox News.
Elon Musk is a forward thinker, and he can...
He's a forward thinker. That's, yeah. Yes. He's a forward thinker. He can buy things that are obviously going to be used in the future and go, you know what? I think Jesse Waters is going to buy my bullshit.
See that this election is not just about Donald Trump. It's about the future of the country. Can this country guarantee free speech, the right to bear arms, freedom of association, free enterprise? Can it guarantee our own sovereignty?
Yes, it is.
And he's put a lot of his reputation on the line for this election because Trump loses. Kamala Harris is going to come after him and come after him hard. So,
right, because he's a criminal, and I don't think she'll have to do it. The DOJ will handle it because his crimes are self-evident. But I don't know. Your point wasn't that Kamala Harris was going to come after him afterwards, is that you set those things up that they will go away. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms, all the same shit you talked about when Obama was elected, or fucking when Hillary was going to be elected, or when Biden got elected, and none of it has fucking happened because you're full of shit. Like, how many times are you going to sell this lemon?
for many reasons, this is an important election, and there's a lot at stake.
Judge, the crowd.
Jesus Christ. It's fun watching him run out of steam, though.
Was massive, and they would have crawled over broken glass to be there. So what?
Well, first of all, that's nuts. Secondly, no, they wouldn't have. And by the way, thank God we have the government has regulations against broken glass being all over a field where people are gathering. You got to clean that shit up, or unless that's one of the regulations he repealed.
Does that give you a sense of how things might go in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I broke this segment down into 4 parts. The first,
great,
is a personal part. The fact that Donald Trump made it a point to bring Corey Comparatori back. And
what, like Lazarus? Bring him back? He's fucking dead, lady.
2 other victims who were shot. And he recognized the individuals. He stopped the speech at 6:11, which was the time he got shot. And,
Yeah, it was a big show, fuckwad. He didn't bring back... Jesus Christ. Like, the victims aren't there. The 2 people that got shot, he brought them up. He didn't bring them back. Fuck is the matter with you? Those people are mortally wounded. They are going to be damaged the rest of their fucking life. They are maimed, you dumbass.
the bells tolled. And then Chris Mock...
Oh, my God. Really? Really? Did they toll some bells? Because he does not understand that ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Comes
out and sings Ave Maria. This audience, Dana, was so mobilized on their own. They started singing God Bless America. I mean, I had...
They do this at a lot of his events before this happened.
chills. I was almost in tears.
Right, because you were at a tent revival for the Temu Antichrist, and you're a gullible, dough-headed fuck.
Just watching the patriotism, how strong it was, how...
That's not patriotism. Trump isn't the fucking country. It isn't patriotism any more than fucking people who cry when Kenneth Copeland talks are like this is Christianity.
How I was able to say, thank God not everyone is gone. And
What? Thank God not everyone is gone? What do you mean? Thank God that Thomas Crooks didn't have a bump stock, you dumbass? I'm certainly glad he didn't have one, or there'd have been a lot more dead people. Thanks, Clarence Thomas. All seriousness. If this had happened now, if he hadn't done the Butler thing till now and it had been put off, and Thomas Crooks had done exactly what he did then, but he did it now, he'd have been able to buy a bump stock. You think he would have only gotten off 8 shots at Trump then? You think Trump would still be alive? In that case? Killed by one of his own fucking bump stocks? I mean, you want to talk about God changing the timeline of stuff. Trump is lucky it happened so close to Thomas's ruling about bump stocks.
And then, of course, there was the psychological aspect, the bravery aspect, where you...
Yes, nothing says bravery like going back to the scene of where you were almost shot at, you staying in a sealed container while everybody else is outside of it in case somebody else tries to shoot you.
Had people who witnessed a shooting from the first Butler rally who came back. You had a president who was shot and came back. You had the family members who came back. Look, people suffer from PTSD just seeing a homicide, just seeing someone shot. These people experienced it firsthand. They came back. And
right. And many of them are being treated for PTSD currently, like the family members and stuff. I hope they're getting grief counseling and PTSD counseling. You know who isn't? Trump. You know who has untreated PTSD right now, which is exactly why I think he's taken up drinking in the last couple of weeks? Trump. That's my argument. That's why he's started having little nips on the plane from the bar that's on his plane, either with people's permission and awareness or not, because he has untreated PTSD and he talks like somebody who is taking painkillers because he's fucking old and drinking at the same time.
And then there's the political piece.
Yes, finally, the political piece. Wait, is he saluting Lee Greenwood? Fuck me. Fox, why are you doing this to him? Why are you trying to make him look like an asshole? And you can't, like, the contrast between what she's saying and what we're seeing is fucking hilarious.
Pennsylvania's a toss-up state. Every time it's 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. But to me, the telling thing was the Democrats had 916,000 more registered voters in 2016 in Pennsylvania. In 2020, it was down to 685.
Wait, hold on. How many?
Democrats had 916,000 more registered voters in 2016 in Pennsylvania. In 2020, it was down to 685. In 2024, it's down to 333,000 Democrats having an advantage.
Sorry. Democrats have a 300,000 registered voter advantage in Pennsylvania? And you think that's a good sign? They had, first of all, a million, nearly a million advantage in whatever, 2016, I guess, and then slightly fewer in 2020 is the idea. The idea that it's ticking downward, great. Tell you what, he might, at that rate, he might have a chance of winning in 2042.
I really think that the way that it was orchestrated, the way that it happened, that it was just generic. It just happened. Mm-hmm.
It's just generic. That's the way I look at it. It was, if you're like, wow, it's just generic. Yeah, well said. What? What was generic?
It's going to make a big difference in the election.
Generic, and it's going to make a big difference. So it was a generic assassination attempt or a generic return to the site of an assassination attempt?
Harold, I'll give you the final word.
So,
Harold, real quick. The final word is what?
When I look at the race right now, and I could not have been more pleased for the president. He was able to go back there and give the rally, have the rally. Some of the substance I didn't like, but for the image of what it meant, it was a powerful thing, and every American has to acknowledge that. The singing, the songs, Judge, I agree with you. It was certainly inspiring. But at this point in the campaign, 29 days out, I don't care who's at the top of the ticket on either side, you're looking at the polling data, and you're looking at which voters you have to persuade to come to your side. As we get to the end of the race, And I said in the first block, I think both of them have decided that they're just going to try to appeal only to their base.
This is what happens when Jessica's not available. It's just a bullshit panel. No, Harold, that's not at all what's happening. Where the fuck do you get the idea Harris is chasing the base? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, she just did a rally with Liz Cheney. For fuck's sake. What are you talking about? By the way, never in your mind while you're talking fast mix up Jessica and Liz Cheney because it will come out weird. Liz, yes, with Liz Cheney, like on The View, she just said she would have a Republican in her cabinet, the same way Biden said it.
In Pennsylvania, you look at two of them are basically tied. John Fetterman was on one of the shows earlier saying this thing is super, super tight. It's going to come right down to the very end. So if I were advising either campaign and any candidate, the one thing I'd be telling him or her is, what are you doing to try to win over those 30 to 40 to 50,000 voters in whatever state we might be in? I understand we want to keep the base fired up. We want to keep the base energized. But what are you doing to do that? I don't know. I listened to a lot of what the president talked about the other night, and I'm not convinced that he was speaking to that group, and perhaps he'll get to speaking to that group. Two.
No.
If I was blessed, if I'm blessed to ever run for office again, and Elon Musk decides to support me, and he speaks at my rally, one of the things I'm going to have him ask him to also say is, can you just kind of lay out what you to give the people something?
All right. You know what, Harold? I think they're making fun of you now, man. Because if anything is an example of Trump reaching out to those undecided voters, it's this image. Back in Butler, Trump finished his rally 3 months after being shot. Oh. Why would you do that? Why? Why would you pick the fucking meme shot, Fox? Why would you do it? Real quick, do the people who I was about to say, do the people who are talking get to pick what photos will play while they're talking? Hey, would you like some, you want to have any say in what we put up next to you? As an example of what you're saying? Because if it's true, then Harold Ford is a fucking boss, and he's just playing it cool while they, and while they play shots. He's like, yeah, no, they're cool guys. He's a cool guy, and it's all cool. But I don't believe that's the case, because I saw the picture that they played when Jesse Waters was talking of Elon, and he looks like fucking Gollum. So
they can be inspired by my economic agenda.
That's what this is. Yep. Be inspired by, nothing says be inspired by my economic agenda better than Captain Doge to the moon trying to jump there to get ahead of the game.
That I'm going to be about growth and innovation. Just say something. I thought they might have missed a little bit of an opportunity.
Just say something?
To do a little of that. But again, that's just me. And as I've said many times before, I'm kind of old-fashioned about politics, I think. And you got to do those things. Finally, I disagree with you in this regard. Politicians, you see musicians and actors and business people come out and endorse people in politics all the time. And right away, whomever wins gets right back together with them. Elon Musk is the most important innovator and is the most important technologist of our era, maybe the last.
Bullshit, Harold. No, he's not. That's like saying Ronald McDonald is the greatest hamburger cook in American history. No, he isn't. Harold, do you even know who Sam Altman is? Tim Cook, a.k.a. Tim Apple. Have you heard of NVIDIA? Do you know what Jeff Bezos is doing in terms of his alternative to Starlink, which is superior and isn't near Earth orbit satellites that fall out of the fucking sky every week? Bullshit.
It's 2 eras. Whomever is elected president is going to have to work with him. I wish.
No, they're not. No, they are not. Whoever gets elected is not going to have to work with fucking Elon Musk at all.
She was supporting my candidate, but I have no problem him supporting whomever he wants. And if Kamala Harris is blessed to win, I hope she reaches out to him, and I hope she does not punish him, if nothing else.
Punish him for what? Oh, you mean funneling Saudi and Russian money into technology and giving it away, and effectively stealing technologically from NASA and using American taxpayer-funded sites that were built on taxpayer funds like NASA's so that he can help the Russians and the Saudis get ahead and undermine our government with a giant misinformation campaign on Twitter? You mean like that? Because I'm sure he's not involved in any, like, hinky fucking financial stuff. Get the fuck out of here.
Harold, the diplomat. Excellent comments, of course. And if you want to see more about President Trump, Laura...
Yeah, I kind of don't, but I have a feeling we will.